Hi, Nitish Matthew here, and I'm here to talk to you about internet addiction. Do you need internet addiction treatment? Well, I'm here to share some tips about that and how you can overcome internet addiction through counseling. And here's how counseling can help. Before I talk about how counseling can help, though, I'd like to talk about the problem that we are facing as a society in terms of internet addiction. We find that internet addiction is quite widespread. On average, Americans spend 6 to 8 hours on the screen. And so that is quite concerning since we are so willing to be distracted or even make comments online or Snapchat or Facebook. And are we spending enough time cultivating our walk with Christ? Are we spending enough time giving our giftings to the world? And so this is concerning. And also, it is a big problem if you are addicted to the internet and you don't have a way out. Well, counseling can really help you reframe that and restructure that and have a place to talk about that struggle. In fact, the struggle is quite real that I am going to be speaking at Bellevue Christian School in a panel discussion after the movie about internet addiction and screen time addiction among teenagers. Although a lot of these principles can apply equally to adults or parents as well who are also addicted to the screen and who need to be good models to their children. And so I would recommend that we all focus on this issue with more seriousness. Well, when I think about this scripturally, I think about 1 Corinthians 6:12, and I'll read the Message version of the Bible here of that verse. Just because something is technically legal doesn't mean it's spiritually appropriate. If I went around doing whatever I thought I could get by with, I'd be a slave to my whims. So we definitely don't want to be a slave to our whims and just follow after the pleasure principle and get basically whatever we need in that moment. We want to be spiritually strategic, spiritually appropriate. I also do like the NASB here of 1 Corinthians 6:12. All things are lawful for me, but not all things are profitable. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be mastered by anything. So again, the principle of being a slave to sin is key here, as well as the idea that not all things are profitable. All things might be lawful and totally okay within our Christian freedom, but we also have to think about what is profitable for our own lives, for our relationship with God, and for our relationship with others. 3 tips I have for overcoming internet addiction are to think through counseling is to think about relationships that you're faced with. Relationships are the key, and so these 3 tips will make you better at your relationships with other people and with the Lord. And one tip I think that is really key in having better relationships is to be a developer rather than a consumer of online content. When you are able to direct or create certain things for your community, for your family, for your friends, that involves creative thinking, problem solving, using your spiritual giftings, giving back to the community, giving back to the world, you allowing the Lord to use you to affect others. And that is where there's a lot of joy and there's a lot of confidence that is built up in the Lord. And so being a developer rather than a consumer of online content is very important. Studies show that only 3% of people are actually developers of content online, and 97% are consumers of content. And this doesn't necessarily have to be online content. It can also be orchestrating a board game night with your friends or family, or creating a game that you could play that doesn't involve any screens at all. My second tip is to improve communication with real people and to deal with real emotions. So I do believe that oftentimes when we're online, we can say things and do things that don't have any real world consequences. But when we're faced with the real people and the real world consequences, we do have to really be much more careful with our words, more self reflective, which builds spiritual maturity, which improves our relationships with others. Third tip I have is that internet addictions oftentimes can take away from sleep, work, family, and friend relationships. And counseling helps by helping you focus back on your sleep patterns, on your work, and how you can find meaning from work, as well as focus back on key relationships in your life that bring you life and edify you and help you grow in the Lord. Counseling will make you much more spiritually profitable that way, having someone come beside you and guide you and help point those things out to you so that you can reflect on them and think through them and grow through them as well, and focus on some of those personal development things that aren't making you as effective for the Lord. And so I pray that you all will have a good day and that this talk will help you to grow and to overcome internet addiction and perhaps seek counseling to help with these issues. Thank you.